What even is this? This? It's so chirpy. I wouldn't say it was chirpy, it's bark. I thought it was. It sounds so different. It's played on the harpsichord. How it should be played. Should is a strong word, Hebe. I like it, it's optimistic. Not how the piece should be. Should is a strong word, Mother. It's how it should have. It's how it could have sounded. Would have sounded. How do you know? Were you there? For me it sounds too full of itself. Usually there's a humility to it, as though it has some lived experience. This sounds too sprightly, annoyingly knowing. Like a teenager who thinks they've known love. What is love then, O wise one? Pain. Mum, it is. Pain when you're out of love, pain when you're in love, pain when you're falling in love, pain when you're falling out of love. Think about it, those feelings are almost indistinguishable. Falling in or falling out, identical. What about the love for your child? You mean you. All right, I mean me. Pain. No, really, it was horrendous. Joints ache, body stiffens. Knowing what I know now, it's like the onset of old age. Then the labour, horrific. And what do you get back for it? Me. Well, you're just fine, but you probably blame me. For what? For anything. Everything. That's not true. Did you give Arabella the red coat? She'll be the 4th generation. Such an honour. That's a pure cashmere coat, I know. I don't like the connotations. Don't be silly. I'm not being silly. Everything has connotations, Sarah. Sarah? Yes, everything has connotations. What time is my daughter arriving? I am... What? You stopped yourself from expecting an answer and just stared at her. The smug version of the Goldberg Variations marched on like the soundtrack of some pier amusements. You saw the flashing lights of the many arcade games, and among them you saw an old weaver at her wheel, with fine red fabric. You wanted to explain that you were not Sarah, that you did not even know who Sarah was. Another part of you wanted to explain how much you hated her, that she had been a terrible mother, to confirm that you did blame her, especially for your father's death. Hebe, sweetie, would you open the window? It's terribly hot. You looked at your beaming mother, her face like crooked knots, all exposed roots and soil. You nodded one long nod and got up to open the window. Here, she pointed in the direction of her knitting yarn. You passed it to her. She knitted as you stood over her. Variation 5 raced towards its completion. Your mother's movements seemed to jump and jolt as though frames on a camera on fast forward. Sarah, when does my daughter arrive? Without hesitation you answered, later. You turned the music down very low and placed your hand on top of hers. As Variation 7 skipped into life, you left her there knitting her red yarn. The bed felt cold and deep. You ran your mind through the river of Archeon and dipped momentarily into Rusia. It reminded you of the century isolation tanks Harriet had insisted you visit, which you had hated. Conrad felt too close and so far away, his body slow and deliberate in its rise and fall of breath. He lay flat like a corpse. You wondered what time it was, but did not have the strength to turn and look. You played in your mind for a while, placed your mother on the bank of the river, weaving on a wheel the red yarn. You wanted to put your hand on Conrad's rising chest, to wrap a leg around him. He always hated that. It's claustrophobic. You held back and watched the image develop in your mind. You thought you saw a wolf in your red coat creeping away from your mother, the yarn of the coat still attached and pulling away, the coat slowly peeling away to nothing. You blinked open your eyes and tasted blood in your mouth. Your stomach felt empty. Conrad let out a sigh. Are you awake? He did not answer. Conrad, I'm so sorry. I've something I need to tell you. You clasped your mouth shut. I don't know if it's the right time, but my mother, she's dying and it all feels like it's coming to a head, coming to an end. That's not it. Conrad made another sound. Are you awake? You placed a hand on his chest and he made a small sound of approval in the dark. Conrad, I can't keep this from you. It's eating me up. I've strayed. I want you to know that I don't love him and I don't hate you. I don't blame you, actually. I thought I did, but I don't, and I'm sorry. It has only been sex, and sometimes it's been empty, meaningless. I told you already about the fish in a dream, only it wasn't a dream, it was real. I've lost you. I don't dream about you anymore. You don't visit me. Conrad rolled over onto his side and pulled your hand and arm and let it wrap around his body. You took a you took a sharp intake of breath. Oh, God, I love you. And I don't know how to tell you anymore. God, I'm such an idiot. Conrad. You shook him. Conrad. Huh? What, Hebe? What is it? My mum, I think she's going to die soon. Oh. He gripped you tightly in the dark as you wept.